every seed grows from within. So the biggest thing to do early on is build your personal skill sets and you build value within yourself so that when you go into that room, you have value to present.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the show. My name is Kyle Wallgren, and yes, this is another episode of the Business of Education. Today, our guest is Regnault Drake Sanders. He's the CEO and founder of Schoolconomy, which is a groundbreaking platform at the intersection of education and technology with a unique blend of expertise in computer science, psychology, marketing, and more. He is not just innovating, he's redefining how education works for schools, students, and communities. Regnault's passion for growing, learning, and marketing makes a difference and how it shines in everything he does. Regnault, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Kyle. I'm excited to be here.
No, I'm always excited to people that have dove into the education space, especially education technology. That's the environment that I live in. And I feel like there's a million more ideas out there, and we need people like yourself to build them. You started Schoolconomy Inc. Could you give us a little bit of background on your product?
Yeah, so we started development on Schoolconomy in October of 2022. It all stemmed from me being in university and having to grab a part-time job. So once I grabbed that job, I saw how being in school, having a part-time job could actually take away from those studies. So I also leveraged that with, hey, corporations are looking for ways to connect with students and want to get engaged with students. So we found a way to do that. We launched our version one of the product in January of 2023. Took a trip out to Dallas, Texas from Atlanta. When we got out there, we knocked on the doors at North Dallas High School and they welcomed us with open arms. We got our first 50 users there. Yeah, and from there, we were able to build a lot of momentum because those students let us know exactly what makes them tick, what type of rewards they like, and what type of rewards would keep them engaged in the classroom. So from there, we were able to get those rewards introduced on our platform, and we ended up on Fox 5 News in Atlanta, and they distributed us throughout the syndicated network of Fox, and we were up and going from there.
Oh wow, that's an amazing story. You made it sound easy. I'm sure it wasn't that easy. I'm in the ed tech space myself, and there's a lot of door knocking that you do and a lot of conversations. But it sounds like you guys are getting the right recognition for what you're doing. Carrying a career or carrying a job to pay the bills while going to school is definitely something that's hard, and a lot of people have been challenged with. You guys recently secured some non-dilutive funding through a grant. Give us some insight on that and that process. Grant funding is always something that I feel like is available, and a lot of startup founders don't really know a lot about it.
Yeah, well, I was blessed to have gone to such an esteemed institution of Kennesaw State University. And once I
Mm-hmm.
graduated, I went out and got into corporate America, got into sales and became general manager. So I had the opportunity to get my sales chops going. But in the midst of that, I ended up running into some students that, as we continued to talk, they let us know that, hey, they wanted to be rewarded for the work that they were doing. So I was able to bounce the idea off of them. So I went back to my university and they had full support of what we had going on over at the Mukherjee Innovation Fund at the Entrepreneurship Center on Kennesaw State campus. So they set us up in an environment where we were able to pitch our product, really get our practice in with pitching, and they introduced us to a ton of different opportunities in the space. And it's been great for us to be able to build with like-minded individuals in entrepreneurship as well as academia for us to be able to continue to expound on our product.
Did you have full intentions to become an entrepreneur? Because in high school, you received the Vance Dooley Athlete of the Year award, so that would tell me that, you probably weren't too shabby at athletics yourself. So did you go to school for entrepreneurship right off the hop?
No, I would say naturally I had some entrepreneurial traits in being a leader on those sports teams. So playing football, basketball, baseball, and having the opportunity to build my teamwork skills, my leadership skills in those environments. And coming out of high school, my primary focus was to go to the NBA, and I feel like that's a big opportunity that we also have is being able to really help shape the mind of athletes and let them know that they can use their talents that they already have on the field and on the course or court of play, and be able to utilize them in entrepreneurship. So I pursued a degree in general business at Kennesaw State. That helped me keep my options open. I started a few businesses while I was in school, and once I was introduced to technology and the opportunities that lie within software, I wanted to take that leap.
I was about to jump into that. You built multiple businesses while still in school. What are some of the key lessons that you learned and that shaped Schoolconomy to what it is today while building those other businesses?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is sales, because we're always going to be selling ourselves, especially in the entrepreneurship sphere. So having those conversations for no reason, speaking to people for no reason, also maintaining a good personal brand. And I was able to see the benefits of those things early on and in true practice in real life, being an owner operator early on in the game. But I feel like another thing is the consistency of planting seeds, and being patient with the results, but impatient in action. So going ahead and making the move
I
when
love that.
when the time is appropriate, and going ahead and taking that leap, because it'll never be any time better than now. But still being able to keep that thought process of, hey, I understand that anything that has value is going to take time. The paradigm that I view it from is a dog is pregnant for 9 months, or a dog is pregnant for 9 weeks, and an elephant is pregnant for 18 months. And when that birth takes place, it's a completely different ball game.
I totally agree with you. It sounds like a lot of your, just from the energy and vibe, it sounds like you've taken a lot, and you've said this, you've taken a lot of your leadership and thought processing from the court and the field and brought it into education and technology. Another thing that you said that I cued in on that I think a lot of people overlook when building a business is personal branding. Um, Today, we're in a creator economy. How have you focused on building a brand, not just for your company, but a personal brand? And how do you utilize that to scale your company?
Well, I would say initially coming in the door, I thought it was important for me to create a separation between Schoolconomy and myself early on, just
Mm-hmm.
to have that separation of entities, because I'm coming into it in a space of this being a new business of mine, not necessarily my first business. So I was able to leverage the email list that I had. Um, Also being able to leverage a lot of the contacts that I've had in my network over time, from doing things like, um, going to networking events, as well as having clients that are in the education space before now, and being able to make sure that I've been able to leverage the other conversations that we've had outside of business into the new business. It's important for us to stay consistent with content. And one thing that I've really been leaning into is that the storytelling component is so important with every customer profile that you approach. So on one hand, we have our students, and we tell the story to our students in one way, but when we're communicating with the actual institutions, it's a completely different story. And then when we're connecting with corporations, we have to tell them a story from their perspective. So I think
Hmm.
storytelling and leveraging that personal brand and everything coming together as an amalgam has really created a successful atmosphere for us to thrive.
I love how you focus on storytelling. I love sales. I think sales is maybe one of the funnest industries that you can be in. It was somewhere where I feel like I thrived before I got into education. Um, but sales is just a big storytelling opportunity in a whole, right? Like when you reach out to your customers, you have to sell something that they're needing in their life, not necessarily wanting, but needing. So making sure that your product aligns with them is the creativity of storytelling. What's some advice you'd give to a young entrepreneur on getting sales experience and how valuable that's been while building this business?
I think the biggest thing I can give to a young entrepreneur is continue to swing the bat. The more conversations you have, the better you'll get at it. Um, Stop being so strategic. I think that's another huge
I
thing.
like
Pick
that.
up the phone and make the call, send the email. Those conversations add up. And I think that goes hand in hand with what I said a little bit earlier in terms of be patient with the result, but impatient with the action. Pick up that phone, make those calls, pull up, because you'll never have as much energy as you have today. So your biggest opportunity is going to come from continuing to swing the bat, and no matter what, you'll have to start as a beginner. You'll have to start somewhere. So what better day to start than today?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people overlook that they have a lot more sales traits than what they give themselves credits. When you talk to teachers, they're selling to students every day why they should engage in the class. When there's just a different aspect to look at sales, and I think when you can align that aspect of your everyday needs and how you're doing that, it makes the idea of selling a little bit easier. You went through your school program, but you've also been involved in Hatchbridge Incubator.
Hmm.
A lot of I wish I would have went through an incubator when I started my company. What's the value that you can point out that directly affected you immediately while going through an incubator program?
The biggest thing is considering that we're in the startup realm. We're already doing what 99% of other people haven't done or won't do. So being able to have those conversations with like-minded individuals has been invaluable on our journey. Just being able to bounce ideas and the community that's built around this startup environment that we have in North Atlanta in the suburbs has been great.
The To me, the problem I when I talk to founders like yourself, the number one bottleneck that I think keeps occurring is buy-in from, either the institution, the educator, the students. What was something that you guys did that you might think is a little different to get product buy-in early on for those early adopters?
Just getting creative with our go-to-market. Um, because early on, the procurement process going through public education was so tedious. We started finding new ways to engage with students and meeting them where they are. So whether that be just setting up a table on university campus, handing out flyers, stickers, water bottles, T-shirts, things of that nature, and also some of our interns, getting opportunities to work with the radio stations and things like that, and being able to just, hey, go out, put our Schoolconomy tent up, put our banners up at these pep rallies at schools, and just really getting gritty with and looking at everything as an opportunity, keeping our eyes open for opportunity. Um, that's been huge for us. And another thing is approaching each buying cycle or sales cycle with the viewpoint that I want to bring as much value as possible, not necessarily that we're looking to close a deal. So having that perspective going into these conversations has given us an opportunity to really find true pain points that our prospective clients and clients have had. And that's been great for us in serving our clients through our product, because it really helps with us develop our product.
The a major thing that I think people need to realize is understanding your clients. But you've also spent a lot of time dedicated to community service. I find that super important in this because you're going at something from exactly what you're saying, bringing value to somebody else without necessarily getting any value back. How has your community service helped shape your perspective on education and the role that technology can play in that?
The biggest thing is the basis of life is what type of impact can you make in those around you? How many people can you impact in your life? That's how I view my life for the longest time. So early on, with being Vince Dooley award winner, athlete of the year, it was important for me at that point to be doing community service and going into nursing homes and things like that, and being able to build camaraderie and have conversations with people who aren't necessarily like-minded, but just being able to put a smile on somebody's face. I think that goes a long way. So at my core, personally, I felt like I want that to be the core of the business also.
As a visionary and leader in edtech, what are some of the trends and innovations that education excites you, especially with how AI is now trending in younger demographics right now?
The biggest thing that excites me is that education is moving. So not necessarily what direction it's moving in, but the fact that it is moving, and that we are having that opportunity to innovate in the space through technology. And I feel like everyone is starting to converge on that idea at the same time. And that's what really excites me. All of these like-minded individuals being able to come together with different products that can propel our future forward, because our youth has such potential, and us as adults being able to chime in and add to their opportunities at this point, I think that's going to really create opportunities as time progresses forward, because the biggest impact is what will come of them, from the student that learns how to read from Edsoma, from the student that's incentivized through Schoolconomy throughout their tenure in academia. Those are truly going to be the ones who push us forward. So I'm excited about that.
You and I align on on quite a bit of what how you just answered that question. The thing that's one of the things that excite me most is that we haven't even scraped the surface with the opportunities that can be presented, the creativity of the younger generation. And I'm not that old, but I look at my kids and see the way that they're building games within Roblox or within Minecraft and these communities that they're building. they've really they've really got a head start on uh, one, being involved in a creator economy, and two, that ability to constantly be building stuff that is interesting and engaging to the individual and bringing that product forward. One of the things that I love to ask people before we ever end the show, and you've touched on it multiple times during our conversation, is networking. You've clearly figured out how to leverage your network and make it work for you. But if you were to give somebody some advice on how important a network is, how to leverage a network, and that feeling of being that your network will take you in, what's some advice you can give to a young startup founder or maybe even a young kid still going to high school?
I would say, and I guess this is somewhat contrarian to the question, but I would say every seed grows from within. So the biggest thing to do early on is build your personal skill sets, and you build value within yourself, so that when you go into that room, you have value to present.
I like that. I like that a lot. A lot of people, I think it's overlooked that a lot of people go into a relationship seeing what they can get out of it for themselves, and they forget that it's easier to get instant feedback when you're bringing value to everybody around them. And that's a quality that I think a lot of people overlook. So thank you for confirming that. What are
Certainly.
some of the things that you see? What are some of the things you're excited in the direction that you see Schoolconomy going over the next, say, 12 months?
Over the next 12 months, I'm really excited about what we're doing in alternative education for students graduating from high school. Really excited about the data that we're collecting over these next few months. And we're going to be able to utilize those data points to improve our product for next school year. So I'm really excited about
Mm-hmm.
that. And building these relationships that we've already been cultivating and just seeing what they turn into over time. I'm really excited to see what comes of these relationships.
The people that watch our program are a lot of startup founders, a lot of kids coming out of college, a lot of kids still in college. We get messages every day from, kids going to university, wondering how to get into education technology. But if somebody wanted to ask you a question, get a hold of you and find out more about Schoolconomy, how would they go about doing that?
Well, you can easily reach me at Renault, Regnault, at schoolconomy.com. That's my personal email. Outside of that, you can reach me on LinkedIn also. Kyle, I'm glad that you brought up there are a ton of listeners that are still in school. So I will add to this in terms of that networking piece. Make sure you
Mm-hmm.
talk to people for no reason. Talk to people that you wouldn't normally talk to, people that look different from you, different backgrounds, different interests. Those people will help make sure that you have a solid network, especially when you're in college. You're going to run into people from all over the world at any school that you go to. So take advantage of that opportunity because those people will be your clients, they'll be your friends, as time progresses, and may or definitely will present opportunities for you as time progresses. So build those relationships with people you wouldn't normally speak with. College is great.
That's such valuable information, and people really need to take merit in what you just said. Having conversations you wouldn't necessarily have opened up so many different doors for me, opportunities. I love LinkedIn. That's how we met. You saying yes to having a conversation, expanding our networks together for people to see what we're both working on and how we can help somebody else. Renault, I love the conversations we get to have on this show. We appreciate what you're doing. We're going to make sure to share the links to your guys's website and to connecting with you in the comments of this podcast below. And we're grateful for you taking time out of your day to jump on the show with us.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Kyle. I've been looking in, and I'm glad that I've been able to be a part of this today.
This has been an amazing experience for me, and I look forward to having a conversation with you again.
Yes, sir. We'll talk soon.